up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to, I'm not quite sure who, but no.
Miguel Ramirez. What's happening, babe?
Are you all right there? You doing okay? Yeah, you look like you got some stuff on.
I'm just trying to be safe.
Shut up.
This stuff is no joke.
So anyways, some of us are taking it over the top.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? Just look at you. Look at him.
Yeah. Anyway, for those of you that are
you're not watching, Miguel has
you gotta go watch the podcast.
Yeah, you gotta watch.
All right, I'm gonna take this thing off before I pass out.
It's safe. I'm safe.
All right.
Okay. You good? All right. Yeah. He tried to get me to wear one. I'm like, that thing will not come off my head. Like, you see this big head with all this hair? There's no way. So what's up, everyone? It is a crazy time. Very crazy. Not sure where you're listening or where you're watching from, but
man,
yeah, things are just a little out of control. And so
thank you guys for listening.
Yes, thank you guys for listening.
At a time like this, the world's getting crazy. Strange times.
So we're going to bring you some information. We're also going to keep it light as well because I am love, and I feel that all we need is love. So I'm going to bring that to you because I feel at this time that we should come together instead of hoarding.
Not too close together.
But be there to support each other. Be there to support your neighbor. Be there to support your family, your friend in need. Because some people really need toilet paper.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Like, okay, so Miguel and I, you've heard, like, we don't really stay too connected. Like, with the news, you'll listen to it every once. You'll listen to it on podcasts.
Yes.
Me, I'm not listening to it. I don't watch it. It's just a whole bunch of negative energy information that I don't care to bring in. And I know that sounds ignorant because you really do want to know what's happening in the world. But today, you just don't know what is real and what is fake. And then I go on. Yeah, it's hard to know.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah. And then, social media, like Miguel mentioned earlier, like it's a business. It's a business. Well, and they're here to make money. Not
social media.
Well, media
in general. The news channels.
Yeah. They're here to make money. And right now, they're making a whole lot. I mean, negative, negative news.
This is what I was
sells.
saying is that, yes, they know that the negative news is what sells. And if right now the world is ending, which if you watch the news, that's what's happening.
Seems like it.
Then they know that people are going to keep going back to get updates on what's happening and what's going on, what's new, how many people have died, how many people are infected, and people just start losing their minds, but they're making money off of all of it.
It's heartbreaking.
And they want to report as fast as possible. Right. Not as accurately as possible. They want to report as fast as possible. Right. And they may get it wrong.
Yeah. So I was oblivious to what was going on. I mean, I heard of the coronavirus and I'm like, okay, it's like the flu. Like we all had, went through that situation. And we'll
like 2 weeks ago.
And we'll get into that a little later on. But I didn't think anything crazy, so we ran out of toilet paper. I think we had 4 rolls left and we needed toilet paper. So we go to Costco. That's where we purchase our toilet paper, and we went, and it's so crazy because do you remember me telling you saying, hey, they're out of toilet paper?
It was last weekend they were out.
But we had no idea.
We didn't know. No, because that was the very beginning of people losing their mind.
Yes. But I just figured, Costco runs out of things, right?
They
we go there and they run out.
But toilet paper is not one that they usually run out of.
I just didn't think about it. I didn't think about it. And then all of a sudden, I think I was talking to my mom about the cruise that we were going to go on, and she's like, "What?" So my mom is, I mentioned it last time. She told us what was going on, and all of a sudden, we needed to go grocery shopping. I go grocery shopping, and people are throwing canned foods, tons of canned foods in their cart. And seeing that, I'm telling you, if you haven't been out yet, and fear had not came into my heart, or you know what I'm saying? I wasn't feeling fearful until I went to the grocery store, and we don't eat a whole lot of canned foods.
No.
But when I seen everyone just hoarding and grabbing as much as they can, I felt
you need to do the same thing.
Maybe you need to grab some cans.
Yeah.
And I did. And I didn't like go over, but I was buying canned foods that we usually don't eat.
Because
there wasn't much left.
Everybody's buying things that they don't usually buy.
Right. You know?
It's crazy. You go to the stores and the shelves are empty.
Yes.
Like the canned food section is empty. Like Joey, he likes ramen noodles.
Right.
And I went to go get him some ramen noodles. There is no more ramen noodles.
Like all out.
They're all out.
You know?
It's insane. And then you showed me that picture, and it's not just the canned foods, because you went to Sam's Club.
Sam's Club. Yeah.
And it was, what was it? The chicken was completely gone.
The chicken,
like everything is disappearing now.
Yeah. Like everything was out, you know, everything was going. And what was so heartbreaking, I was with my friend Betty and I needed toilet paper. So she's like, hey, I have a Sam's Club. You know, I'm part of Sam's Club and we're part of Costco. She's like, do you want to go check out Sam's? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, I need water. So then we go and there's no toilet paper. Like there's zero toilet paper. So then I see butt wipes, you know, and that's usually what I use, but my hubby and the kids don't. So I'm like, well, you know what? It is what it is. And I grabbed 4 boxes of the butt wipes. And
you see?
Betty, no, for reals. And because, baby, we have no toilet paper, you know?
Yeah.
But no, I usually would only grab one, and it lasts me months.
That's true. You would only grab one. Normally, we would get a case of toilet paper.
Right.
But we can't.
No, so I don't want you guys using all my butt wipes, so I bought you guys some butt wipes. But let me tell you, when people saw me there, and then Betty started, you know, she grabbed hers, people were like, what is this? Because we were on, I don't know if it's the west side. I don't know, but they don't use butt wipes.
You were on the west side of town?
They use toilet paper.
Hey.
But they saw that, and they're like,
¿Qué es eso? What's she getting?
I don't, yeah.
What is it? It's toilet paper. Oh, hey, they got the wet toilet paper over here.
Yes, it was funny. Ask Betty. And so when I told them that, I'm like, once you go here, you know,
got the case of the toilet paper.
Hey, I said it's kind of like when you go black, you never go back. No, once you start wiping your butt with these wipes, it's gonna become another expense because you're not gonna want to go back. But you know what was so sad is that there was a woman there and she needed baby wipes. She needed baby wipes, and they were completely out of baby wipes. So she saw these and she's like, oh, well, I can use these on my baby. And I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, well, how much are they? I'm like, $12.50. And she puts the box back. And she said, I guess my baby's just going to have to do with toilet paper.
Because she couldn't just wash the baby's ass.
Because she couldn't afford, you know, $12.50.
Yeah.
You know, and so it does make you crazy, and it does bring fear into your heart when you're out there and you're seeing food fly off the shelves. Like and literally.
That's the thing, is that it's like people are getting crazy and they're forcing people that aren't crazy
to
go crazy with them, because it's like, well, now I'm not going to buy 4 packs of toilet paper.
Yeah.
I just need 1.
Yeah.
And then when you go out to the store and you just want to get your 1 thing of toilet paper, you look like a crazy person. And then the other crazy people jump on board and start grabbing more shit.
And you know how I'm emotional. Like, I just am. I'm emotional. And so we're at this Costco and they bring a pallet of water out, right? Like they just got it off the truck. They're bringing it out. And we don't need it because we have the water filter. So I didn't grab 2. Betty grabbed 2. But there was a huge line. And that water was gone within minutes. And the people in the back,
they didn't
whether they really needed it, they didn't. And I'm like all getting emotional. And Betty's looking at me. I'm like, this is so bad. You know? Because, and that's the thing. Like this coronavirus, it's happened in the past with other things.
Yeah, it happened with the bird flu. I was telling you before we started the podcast, when I was a kid in New York, it was like it had to be the 90s, but I remember the West Nile virus that was from the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And there was a curfew. You had to be in the house by, I don't know if it was like 7 or 8 o'clock. It was a long time ago. But I remember we would look out the window of the apartments and you would see trucks that looked like gasoline trucks with sprayers on them. And they would just be spraying the streets for mosquitoes for the West Nile virus. And it was like every day for I don't remember how long.
And you guys had a curfew? Like an actual curfew?
Yes, because they didn't want to be spraying people that were out in the street.
Oh.
So everybody had to be inside at a certain time,
Yeah.
and then the trucks would come out and they would start spraying the streets.
See, to me, that sounds scary. Like, because, well, first of all, Miguel just had me watching a Jocko podcast about Hitler. And what did they do? What did they start doing? They had a curfew. They had to stay within.
Yeah, but this is a virus.
I know.
Relax.
But
it's
it's
crazy.
like, I know. But, I'm just thinking to myself, like, things are getting pretty crazy.
No, it is. It's
but
getting
I
crazy.
think we need to go back into history. Like, people need to start realizing, hey, something like this happened similar and we survived. Like, we're going to get past this, and the elderlies or the elderly individuals that are more susceptible to this virus are the ones that are needing.
So if you want, we can get into it so that we can actually make this a part in the podcast, because there are some things that we do want to talk about, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and a lot of times the news that I get are from podcasts, or like I'll find out a little bit of the news or what's happening through a podcast, and then I'll be like, oh, that's crazy, or that sounds interesting, or I can't believe that happened, and then I go look it up and find out more about it. So for those of you out there that listen to the podcast and you're looking for some information, we were going to go over some of the things about the coronavirus, and just so that you guys know, obviously we're not doctors.
No.
Whatever information you get here, you can go double check it, make sure you look it up for yourself. But I would be careful of where you're getting your information from. Obviously, the Opposites Attract podcast is the number one source for information everywhere on everything.
Well, we have a guest that's going to be calling in as well, who's in the medical industry and who is very up to date with everything that's going on, because they work with babies, like newborn babies that are having
a guest. It's my
open
mom.
heart. Open heart surgery. So they have to be up to date with how to protect yourself from, I mean, not that you can 100% protect yourself from this virus, but all the safety measures. And they're coming, and they're getting it straight from those individuals. I told her I was going to text her.
Just call.
Okay, I will do that.
So you want to be careful where you're getting your information from. The media, the news channels, like the local news channels. I mean, you got to understand, those are businesses. So they're going to they want you to keep coming back to get more information. What I would suggest is getting your information from the CDC, the World Health Organization, which is where I got a lot of the information that I'll share with you guys. But you want to get it from a reputable source, because a lot of times the news media, they hear something, they run with it, and it's happened so many times where they say something and then they find out that it wasn't true.
I want to make sure she's ready, because they were just leaving a store when I called her, and they were on their scooters.
Okay.
So we'll see. It shows that it's calling. It shows that she may have answered. Hello. Hey, Mom.
Hi.
Hey, Mom.
How are you?
I'm doing awesome.
Welcome to the podcast, Margarita Floyd.
Oh, well, thank you. You guys are so funny.
You have a huge fan over here.
We got a couple of them.
Yeah.
What's happening, Mom?
Not much. Been working hard and getting ready for another week. We'll see what happens. Everybody's all up in arms with this coronavirus.
Yeah. So what's happening at your work? I mean, so you can explain to people a little bit about what you do. What do you do for work now?
I work in a pediatric cardiology office for Nemours, and it is a wonderful facility. It's a great organization. We're a nonprofit, and we do consider our children to be our first priority.
Yeah.
And aside from our patients being our first priority, the employees are also a first priority for our organization.
Yeah.
And they've been preparing us on a daily basis with constant communication that they're disseminating to us They get this from the CDC. They get it from the World Health Organization, and they put together all kinds of information that they encourage us to listen to. And they're on there for about an hour, sometimes a little longer, explaining all the different things that are going on, how people are reacting, and how we need to react. So we do have screening questions that we ask people when they come to our office. And that's at the front line when they're registering. We ask them immediately if anybody's been out of the country, if they've been near anybody that has been sick, or if they themselves have fevers or upper respiratory infections. Yeah. And then once we do get that information, we either isolate them or we let them proceed with their check-in.
Okay.
And one of the big things is that this is a virus that is spread through the air. When somebody coughs, there are microscopic droplets that can travel up to 6 feet.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that you have to keep in mind when you see somebody coughing, to try and stay away, especially when they're not covering their face. And the handshaking is also a way to contaminate people. But more than anything, common sense. Common sense is super essential. Washing your hands. Anytime you've touched a surface that's public, wash your hands. Do not touch your mouth. Do not touch your nose. Do not touch your eyes. Any mucous membrane will absorb this virus quickly. It gets into the respiratory system, and typically we can shake it. Any person that's a normal, healthy human being should be able to shake the virus.
So
the immunocompromised.
That's one of the things that I heard on the CDC's. I watched the video on the CDC's YouTube channel or whatever, or maybe it was on their website. But they were talking about how the microscopic droplets, how they travel 3 to 6 feet. Well, yeah, and but they're too heavy to continue traveling, so they end up falling and they just land on a surface. So that's where the hand sanitizer and washing your hands comes in, because when somebody coughs, if you're not in their direct vicinity, it's going to land on their desk, it's going to land on whatever's around them, and then somebody else touches it, and at this point, they don't know exactly how long the virus survives on those surfaces. So if you go and you touch it, and then we touch our faces hundreds of times a day. Like just yesterday, I was sitting at my desk, and I have my hand, kind of like just on my chin, because I have my elbow on my desk and my hand on my chin, and I'm touching my face, not even thinking about it, because I'm focused on what I'm looking at on my computer. And then, I may scratch my face or rub my eye or something like that, or pick my nose, eat my boogers, but that's where it happens.
Which you are known to do.
So the number one thing is, like, when you're in immediate contact with somebody. Yeah. But then when it lands on something and then you touch it, that's where the hand washing and the
That's another
Purell.
point of transmission. And any open, we're on a podcast right now.
Yes.
So what you need, Jeff is here in his underwear trying to talk to me. But anyway,
hi, Jeff.
So what's real important is to keep in mind that any open wound is also going to be able to absorb that. So if you have compromise on your skin, not only are your mucous membranes that are intact susceptible to absorb this virus, but also in any open wounds and things like that. So you have to be conscious about that.
So
if you have any open wounds, cover them. Try not to put your hands in your mouth, your nose, or your eyes, because that's an immediate. If you're contagious, or if you have the virus on you, you can get it that way.
So, Mom, you're in Florida. How are things in Florida right now? Because here in Arizona, we just found out that they closed the schools indefinitely until further notice, pretty much.
Okay.
The stores are going nuts. Like there's no toilet paper anywhere. Canned foods are flying off the shelves.
Water,
how are
gone.
things going over there?
Yes. Well, here, spring break is this week, starting the 16th. Okay. So we're going to be on spring break this coming week, and they have already notified that the following week they are going to be doing virtual school. So most kids are going to be doing school learning through either,
online
computers or tablets
email.
and online. Correct.
Yeah.
At least that's what Victoria, your aunt,
Yes.
her private school is doing it virtually. The public schools are just going to close because I don't know if if everybody in the public school system is capable of virtual school.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And traveling is another big precaution. It's not a good time to be traveling because you don't know where people have been, where they're coming from. You're surrounded by strangers. And yes, you can, in fact, get something if you're traveling, if you're not cautious.
Yeah.
And I say if you're not cautious because you can get anything at any time if you're not cautious.
Right.
And it's just common sense. Everybody seems to think that washing your hands is a novel thing. All of a sudden, it's a big deal. Well, you should all have been washing your hands all the time.
You should have been washing your hands.
It's just common sense.
Yeah.
And it basically, if you're just careful, you should be able to. If you get it, you should be able to fight it off.
Yeah.
I actually posted something on my Facebook page about a doctor that explained a part of the virus and how it's going to be all over the place.
Yeah, there's no escaping.
But we don't need to be in a panic about it. We really don't.
I think what everybody is panicking about is the quarantine. What happened in Italy. And it seems like, people are preparing for that. And that's why they're stocking up on food, toilet paper, and cleaning supplies, whatever. Yes. And they don't have the facilities that we as the Americans do have accessible to us. And more than anything, there is a loss of reason and a wave of fear that is creating this spiral of panic.
Yep.
It really is. It's unnecessary. Do not inundate the ER because if you go to the ER, you're more susceptible to catch something when you're not really sick.
So, Mom, I got a question. So 2 weeks ago, I had a cold, flu. Yeah, we all did. So it started out with Joey.
Yes.
Joey. So Joey, and he had probably the mildest. So he got a little bit of a fever. He was coughing.
He didn't have a fever.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
He had
Audrey
a fever.
had the fever.
You were the only one that didn't have the fever.
Okay.
Everybody else had a fever. So Joey had a fever. He was coughing a little bit, but it lasted a couple days and it went away. Audrey got it a little bit harder. I ended up getting it the worst out of everybody, but it still only lasted about a week. I had a fever.
Right.
I was getting chills for a little bit there. I had a cough,
achy.
And I have a cough that still hasn't completely gone away.
Yes.
I feel
like he's
100%.
wheezing in his chest, Mom, by the way.
No, I'm not. Not anymore.
You were.
I was.
For a long time.
At one point, I was.
He does not go to the doctors.
But at this point, I have a little tiny bit of a cough, but I feel 100%. So should I go get tested?
No. I would not even bother.
Yeah, no.
If you're fighting it off, I think that you're good. You don't have an immunocompromised system, and your body is doing what it's supposed to do. It's getting rid of the bad stuff that's in you by coughing it out.
Now,
and that's what's supposed to happen.
When I was coughing a lot, then I was having like some pains in my chest or whatever, but it was just because I was constantly coughing nonstop.
Absolutely. And that's a muscular pain that happens anytime you're spasming to cough. Anytime you have these spasms of cough, it causes pain after you're constantly doing that. And that's not unusual.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that I could have had the corona. We could have all had it, and that could have been it.
I don't know. People, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
not that we maybe had it, but people are just making it seem worse than that.
Well, we'll go over a little bit of that.
Because the people that are being affected with this, that are dying, are usually older people
Yeah.
Okay. And immunocompromised people, it makes it sound horrible because these people are dying. But you know what? More people have died with other viruses.
Yeah.
We've had coronavirus previously in 2002. It was a SARS coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
that one came from like a cat or some kind of cats. And then there was the Mars came from camels. And that was the Middle Eastern.
MERS.
Yeah,
the MERS. That
MERS.
was the Middle Eastern.
And that one came from camels.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, I'm just kind of being a little, that the Middle Eastern one, I know one came from cats and one came from camels. And I'm assuming the Middle Eastern one came from camels.
Stop making shit up.
These are facts, but they might be mixed up. But anyway.
Yeah. So the most important thing is just be reasonable. Keep your hands out of your mouth, your nose, and your eyes, and be vigilant. Be vigilant of people that are, people with heart failure, emphysema, pneumonia, people that have had strokes. They need the ER more than the people that are going there because they think they might have it.
Yeah.
Right.
They may not have been exposed to it. They may not even have symptoms of it, but people will be going to the ER because they just want to be checked.
Right.
We had somebody that came to our office that was insisting that they get checked, and we don't have kits available. This is a new virus.
Yeah, for people that actually need it. Yeah.
Exactly. I think this coming week, they're going to start distributing, the CDC is going to start distributing these swab tests, and they're going to make them available to the hospitals. Up until now, the hospitals have had to collect the culture, send it to the CDC, and the CDC was having to respond to the hospital or the collection agency with that result, and it took a 4-day period for you to find out.
Wow. Yeah, that's nuts.
So you're bogging down the works by getting over the top concerned and making unnecessary, claims that you may be COVID-19 positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mom, before we move on with the podcast, I wanted to say thank you.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for calling us or for us calling you and you taking the call. But the other thing, throughout the show, I wanted to thank some of our supporters.
Yeah.
And some of our sponsors. And you are one of our biggest supporters and one of our sponsors. The new microphones that we just got, this is the second podcast that we're using them on, and they're in part from a gift from you. So we really appreciate it, Mom. Thank you.
I'm glad that you put them into good use, and I'm happy to be one of your contributors and sponsors. I always use your link anytime I shop on Amazon.
Thanks,
so
Mom.
Is that
you go through
second.
You go through oppositesattractpod.com and you click on the support the show tab at the top?
That is exactly how I do it.
Okay.
I actually have the link. The link is so easy to do it because I go shopping on Amazon at all times of the day and night. And I just go to your website, I click on the link, and there's my shopping cart ready for me to check out.
And it doesn't cost you anymore, does it?
Not at all. Not at all.
Awesome. Thank you, Mom.
Not one bit. And it's easy to do.
Mom, have you ever heard of Trust Inc.?
I'm happy to do it. You know what? As a matter of fact, I may be needing a notary. So, yes, Trust Inc. will be somebody that I will be contacting. Yeah. I believe you're familiar with Trust Inc.
Yeah,
they are a mobile notary service, and they are nationwide.
There you go.
So if you go to trustinkusa.com,
there you go, Mom.
You can get on there and how do you like the plug?
I love it. I love it.
A notary service.
Oh man.
You can always tell who our listeners are because they can quote.
She's saying it back word for word. Oh man!
And I don't even have a script in front of me. Imagine that.
we should get other listeners to call in and do the plugs for us.
Right?
Like oh, they know they've been listening. So thank you so much, Mom. We love you.
Thank you for calling in.
You're welcome, sweetheart. I love you guys. Give the kids kisses for me, okay?
Love you too, Mom.
You guys keep it going. All right, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
There you go. So that was my mom. Just giving us a little more information. So let's get into. So that we can kind of give out some of the facts about this thing, and then we can move on to other parts of the podcast. So, like I said, when it comes to this coronavirus thing, make sure that you're getting the information from a reputable source, from the CDC, from the World Health Organization. Definitely avoid social media. Definitely
like the plague.
Yeah.
Like the coronavirus.
Not just social media, but a lot of the media. A lot of the media is going to blow it out of proportion. The CDC and the World Health Organization, they're just giving you the facts of what's happening.
Yes. Yeah.
So can you look up the Joe Rogan podcast and his last guest? Just look it up in the podcast app, Joe Rogan. Just because. So some of the information that
I don't have his podcast saved.
Just look it up in the podcast app.
Okay.
So some of the information that I'm going to give you guys is from the CDC, from the World Health Organization. A little bit is from this Joe Rogan podcast. Sonia's going to look it up. He had a guy that he's a scientist who specializes in, or a doctor that specializes in infectious diseases and how they transmit. So let me see. So that podcast, for those of you that want to check it out, I definitely suggest it. Michael Osterholm. It was episode 1439. So Joe Rogan's podcast 1439, Michael Osterholm, and they talked all about some the coronavirus and these diseases that are similar. And the other place was the NBC Nightly News, but I got a little bit out of that, but the majority, and I can let you guys know where I got what. So on the podcast with Joe Rogan, he was talking with this guy, and they were saying that the incubation period is 4 days. So
not 40 days?
No, 4 days.
4 days.
4 days. So what that means is that when you get infected by the coronavirus, it takes 4 days for you to start developing symptoms. Like you've already been infected, and for 4 days you don't have any symptoms. But you are contagious. So you could be touching stuff. You're not even coughing yet. You don't have a fever yet. But if you're picking your nose, touching your mouth, touching other shit, and then somebody else touches it, you're contagious.
Yeah.
So the incubation period is 4 days. Obviously, like my mom was talking about earlier, the people that are in most danger are people that are over 55, people that are unhealthy, that have a lowered immune system, and people that have respiratory problems. So you want to make sure that we those people are the ones that need to be the most cautious, because they're the ones that if they get it, they're going to have a harder time fighting it off.
Yes.
So,
and they are the ones, like my friend was telling me, she's like, I went and there's nothing. She's like, people are basically hoarding this stuff, and you can even see on social media that some people are even selling
that's
toilet paper.
That's jacked
for
up.
a very high cost.
That's messed up.
And it's like the people that really need it are not going to have it, because us younger, healthy people, are taking this stuff and stocking up on it because of all the fear that's going around.
Yeah. So, yep, that's true. And I got this from the CDC. So the symptoms, obviously, like we've said, was fever and cough. And then the more serious symptoms, the ones that you definitely want to, because right around this time when people catch colds and the flu or whatever, you get a fever, you get the cough. But if you start getting the shortness of breath, persistent pain or pressure in your chest, I don't know what new confusion. This was on the CDC's website. New confusion. I don't know if like you're just kind of out of it, or inability to arouse. So if you're just kind of lethargic, I heard that differently. I don't have the inability to arouse. Like you do pretty good. But
thanks, babe.
Bluish in the face or in the lips. So those things are a little bit more serious, and you definitely want to get checked. And like I said, I got this from the CDC. You guys can look it up yourselves. Now, like we mentioned before, when somebody sneezes or coughs, it can trap, because these are particulates and droplets from your respiratory system. They're heavy. They're heavier than just air. It's not transmitted by air. It's transmitted by these droplets. So when somebody coughs or sneezes, it comes out of their mouth, but then it starts to fall.
Gotcha.
So you have to be in close proximity with these people, or it'll land on a surface, and then they don't know how long the virus can live on the surface. But then if somebody else comes and touches it, or they pick up the pen, touch the keyboard, touch the desk. We have meetings at my job all the time, so if somebody, just think, these conference rooms, there's people there's so many times I go to a meeting and people are knocking at the door like, hey, we got this conference room at 9:00.
Yeah.
And then we get out and they get in.
Right.
So what about the people before that were coughing all up in that conference room, and now I'm going in for a meeting? Or if I was coughing all up in the conference room, now they're coming in for a meeting. So that's, and then you touch your face, you touch your eyes.
Just have sanitizer
So that's where
available,
washing your hands, the
sanitizer.
That's where that comes in. So in the U.S., this is from the CDC. In the U.S., there's as of the 13th, March 13th. Today's the 14th. We're recording it, but as of March 13th, there's been 1,629 cases reported, and there has been 41 deaths. So that's a death rate of 2.5%.
Yeah.
So, and the majority of those people, I'm sure, like we talked about before, are people that have respiratory problems, older people. Now, I got some stuff from the World Health Organization here, and this says globally, there's been 142,539 cases confirmed in the world, and this is as of today. And there's been 5,393 deaths. So that's almost 4%.
Which
a
is
4% death rate.
High at all.
So out of 100 people, maybe 4 people might die that get this. And like we said, those are the people that maybe are elderly, that their immune system is compromised, or they have respiratory problems, that sort of thing. But one thing that I heard on the NBC Nightly News that they were talking about that a lot of people aren't saying is that more than half of the people that are infected, they're good now. Like they talk about 140 something thousand people in the world, or the 1,700 cases that we have here in the US, but the majority of people have already recovered. They don't have the coronavirus anymore, and they're good to go.
Right.
And then another 30 to 40% of the people that are infected are going to get better, and they're expected to recover fully. And that's what they're not talking about.
The flu, right? It's just like, having a cold. You're going to get past this. You're going to heal. You know, it's just that, again, I think I know the media is causing fear in everyone.
And we're doing it to ourselves,
that's what's making it worse is that.
Yeah. And then right now, the epicenter for the coronavirus is in Europe. So it was in China, and now Europe is having the fastest, biggest outbreak of the coronavirus. And then the U.S., I mean, we're doing pretty good at keeping it away.
Yeah. So my question
but the thing is that it seems like it's inevitable. Like it's coming no matter what.
Okay. Yes. But my question is what's making people even more fearful and scared is that they're shutting down. I mean, the NFL.
Yeah.
The school districts, like, okay, here we are saying is like, hey, chill out. You're going to be okay. It's just a really bad cold. And if you're healthy, you're going to kick it. But then they're getting all these news constantly. I mean, our kids go to AZ Youth Sports and they canceled their upcoming games. Like, it's like everything is shutting down.
So right now is March, and it's a huge time for college basketball. March Madness. Yeah. They canceled March Madness from what I heard. Like March Madness is canceled. There's NBA games that are being canceled. I told you there's like a World Jiu-Jitsu Championship that's supposed to be coming up. That got canceled.
So that's what's bringing the fear is also that. Because, they're saying it's not that serious of a virus, that you'll kick it if you're healthy and, you don't have any underlying health issues. But yet you're seeing this occur.
And you know what? One thing that I did want to say, I'll be the first to say, on the previous podcast, when I was talking about the coronavirus, I'm like, you know what? This is fake news, this is bullshit, this and that, which is what I thought, because I have such a hard time believing the media and what's happening.
Yeah.
But it is a thing.
Yeah.
It is a thing. This is something that is actually happening. There is a pandemic. Now, look up the definition for pandemic, because people hear the word pandemic and they lose their mind.
Right.
But one thing that I do know, it's not as bad as everybody's making it seem to be.
Okay.
Like, you're going to get, like, maybe you can get sick. And yes, like you were saying, if it's not just about us getting sick. If we get somebody sick, like, we can recover. If we get somebody sick that ends up getting more sick, or an elderly person, or they die from it, then that's jacked
like
up.
That's what I was telling Miguel. Like, I'm not afraid of getting it. Like, I'm afraid of getting it and passing it to someone else that can't kick it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like, you know, that's my thing. Like, if I end up getting it, I don't want to pass it on to you and not knowing that I have it, go visit my mom and my stepdad who does have underlying health issues. Like, I wouldn't be able to live with myself knowing that I passed it on to them. So it's like, that's what brings fear into, you know, my heart is that.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the nightmare appointment that you went on earlier this week? So
people are going to be scared of me.
You had an appointment for Trust Inc. Earlier this week.
Yes. And so, again, I wasn't
Trust Inc. at trustinkusa.com.
scared of the coronavirus or what was happening. Okay. I wasn't hoarding any supplies or anything like this. But then I started to get information here and there. And all of a sudden, the first appointment that I have for the week, I walk into the house. I'm in the house. And I jokingly say, hey, nobody's sick in the house, right?
Oh, my God.
And he said, well, my wife is sick. But, like, I just didn't take it.
His wife is sick, and then what happened?
So then I sit down, and we're going through the documents, and I hear her hacking, like coughing really bad. And I, inside, start to panic, and I'm like going through the documents, having them sign, and she had to sign 2 documents. And so I have her ID, I have everything, and he takes the paper to her to get it signed, and he's like, I'm like, have you guys got her checked? And he said no. And he's like, would you like your pen back? I'm like, no, you can have it. I ran it out of that house as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I gotta tell you, right now. I felt guilty because I had another appointment after that.
Yeah.
You know, and I had no sanitizer in the car, nothing. So when I get to this appointment, I tell them, I said, listen, I just came from a house. She was coughing really bad. I just want you to know that. You know, I'm like, do you have any? And they were like, well, come on in, you know. And I asked her, do you have any hand sanitizer, Clorox wipes? Because what I did was I went, washed my hands, and I put that on. And I had them all put it on and cleaned the pens with, you know, Clorox wipes. But I was very nervous because I didn't know what that woman had. And I mean, just think about that. A mobile notary goes to different people's houses. That would be a nightmare of a movie. You want to see a movie?
Yeah, hell yeah.
And then come home and give it to your family and then go to your mom's. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, and I was freaking out and I was getting myself sick. I can tell you that.
That's the thing is that when
I was getting myself sick mentally, I was starting to feel sick.
Yeah. Well, when something like this is happening, all of a sudden, something that you normally don't feel, you're like, oh, I think I got a little scratchy something in my throat. Or all of a sudden, you're like, oh, I got to cough a little. You know, it's like everything you start feeling and noticing everything.
And this guy here next to me is like, he feels like he's invincible. You know, like, you know, like you said, that's fake news. That's fake news. And I'm like, no, because I'm talking about canceling our cruise. And he's like, you're crazy. I'm going on my cruise. Like, we're going. Like, I don't know what's your problem, but this is a bunch of bullshit and blah blah blah. And until he heard it on Joe Rogan's podcast, then he came to his senses.
No, it's not that I heard it on Joe Rogan's podcast.
You weren't listening to me. You were not listening to me, you jerk.
No, well, because up until that point, I had just seen crazy people on Facebook talking about that shit.
It's the same
thing. And I don't trust what people say on Facebook.
It's your wife talking to you here.
Where do you get your news, scientist?
Jerk off. And it's the same thing with you. Didn't I just tell you that? Somebody else tells me. And I'm like, oh, dang. That you know what? That makes a lot of sense. And you're like, didn't I just tell you that?
Whatever.
That's what happened here. Anyways, let's move on. Now that you came to your senses.
So anyway, more corona.
Listen,
virus.
Listen, talk. Lindas. Listen. We just all need to come together. Yeah. And I drive him crazy because it's like, instead of turning against each other, like, we need to be there for each other. We need to support each other. We need to love each other. From a distance. And not lock ourselves up and start to feel alone and scared and fearful. You know? because that's what makes things worse. Like our neighbor Kelly, she's like, hey Sonia,
why are you putting people?
She's like, did you find toilet paper? I'm like, yes. My friend Betty, she helped me out. She's like, okay, because
stop talking about people's
right before
stashes.
all this happened, she's like, I bought, the regular. So if you need one, let me know. But that's what I'm talking about is that. Like if your neighbor or somebody is in need, they can't find toilet paper, but you have a fucking a stockpile in your garage. Like do the right thing. Do the right thing.
And sell them a roll for $20.
And give them some toilet paper.
Yeah.
Not sell. I seen that. Like on
It's
Facebook,
crazy.
people are
buying
up all this stuff and selling it. Like
that's messed up.
Yeah. How wrong is that?
So we've talked about a few ways that people can protect themselves from the coronavirus, but
Miguel's way.
we got somebody that can maybe give a little information about the coronavirus, and I got a protection.
I haven't. It's nice to see you again.
Hola, señorita. How you doing?
Hola, chico. ¿Cómo estás?
There we go. I can't do it. I can't do it with this thing. I try to put on a sombrero, but it's too big. Anyways, so I go to the supermarket the other day. It's just a lot of crazy people in the supermarket.
Loca.
Son locos. Están locos, güey.
Muchos locos.
They got it. All of the white people, they got it. The lima beans.
Now we're getting racist.
Mira, I just say what I see.
They got the lima beans.
I say
really?
what I see with my eyes in the store. I go to the store. I see the white people. They got it the lima beans, and they get it the canned beets and the cranberry sauce. I don't know why they got it the cranberry sauce in the can.
Cranberry sauce.
But I got it. Some survival tips for everybody.
Wait, some Bible tips?
No, not. I said some. No Bible. The survival.
Oh,
survival tips.
Survival?
Yeah, that's what I say. I say we got the survival tips. But for everybody listening, so when you go to the store and you cannot find no more lima beans, and you cannot find the beets and the whatever
cranberry,
canned asparagus or whatever they get, we got it. Pinto beans. There's so much pinto beans.
Especially this is in the East Valley in Arizona.
They don't got it. The pinto beans. This is full.
Well, here, baby. But in the west,
maybe
on the west side,
on the west side, my people they got it.
Frijoles, no.
Another thing that you can get is Juanitas pozole de puerco. It's a delicious soup made from pork. But they have no idea what it is. They get scared. This like the coronavirus for them. They don't want it.
That is so true. When I went to Fry's, they had all the Mexican.
You just gotta get the dust off of the cans, and then you got it for you. You got some more food. So you're scared?
Oh no!
Look, and then we also got it the Juanitas menudito. Menudo. You get it the menudo. Same thing. You got it the
so
dust.
This is some pozole right
That's
here.
pozole. We got it the menudo. We got it the beans.
Oh, that's what's up.
Or something everybody gotta get. Something everybody needs. Hey, lady, stop throwing.
What else you got?
You got the tortillas. We got corn. And you got flour. You can eat it. If you're hungry, you put a little butter or some cheese. And make it a quesadilla. And if you don't got it, the toilet paper, mira, this for the house and this is to go.
That's for your butt.
Store, you can clean it with it like you can eat it and you can use it like toilet paper if you want.
Oh, that's so gross. You're so gross.
And if you don't have no water, we also have it. The cerveza. You can get a cerveza, and that's good for everybody. And you can also get the Corona, maybe.
Tecate.
There's a lot of lies saying the Corona gives you Corona. Lies.
Oh, lies.
That's what I say.
Mentira.
Sí, mentiras, güey. Te
Mentiras,
digo.
güey.
There's a lot of lies saying that you drink a Corona, you get a coronavirus. Mira,
No es cierto.
I drink, no cierto.
No es
I drink
cierto.
the Coronas all the time, no get the coronavirus. Me puse bien pedo, güey. No. Anyways, so yeah, you got it. And if you get the coronavirus, if you get sick,
Sí.
all you got to do,
Cebolla.
mira, Miguel talk about the CDCs and the HO, whatever your mamas, get the information. They don't know the cure. But in Mexico, we know the cure. You got it, a
Let's hear
7-Up.
it.
You
Let's
get it,
hear
the
it.
7-Up, and you put a lime and some chile. Look, you take it, you eat it, the chile, and you drink it with the 7-Up with the lime.
Tajín?
And
Or
yeah, you could put a little
chile.
tajin, some chile if you want. And then if you get you start sneezing, coughing, you get it, the Vicks, Vapor Up.
Vicks.
The Vicks, that's what I
The
say. The Vicks. You get it, the Vicks, you put it on the chest, and you put it in your nose, and you can put it on your feet, put the sock on top. You put the sock on top, and it gets the corona out from
Con
the bottom of your
cebolla.
feet.
Onion.
You can put it the cebollas, the onions, and the sock también, and they get it the corona out of your feet.
My friend Betty says that that's like magic. Like you put onion on the bottom of your feet
Yes.
with a sock.
Yes.
And you you go to sleep.
And the
in
corona,
the morning.
and then you drink a corona, and then the corona comes out. And then you're good. No más coronavirus for you. Okay? So go to the store. You got it, the pinto beans. You got it, the pozole, the menudo. You got it, the toilet paper / tortillas that you can use for whatever you want.
Whatever you want. So there you go. The Mexican Landscaper on Opposites Attract podcast.
Oh, man. We're getting shut down. This is going to get blocked.
Well, I just really hope that we lighten up your day and make you laugh and smile, because everyone is just so stressed
Everybody's
out.
freaking out right now.
Anxiety, and I think we all need to come together and kumbaya. Kumbaya,
You know,
my lord.
the people that have actually been...
Kumbaya.
I'm going to turn your shit off. The people that have actually been prepping, like preppers.
Yes,
Dude,
that we all make fun of. That we all make fun of.
Everybody that we've all made fun of.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what? They're not buying toilet paper.
Heck no, they're
they've
chilling,
they've had toilet
like-
paper. They've had cases of water.
Yep.
They've like, this is what I've been talking about. I told you it was gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh no.
Marge, get to the bunker.
Get
you know?
to the bunker.
You know, they've been waiting for this shit.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Miguel was talking about, listen. Well, no, we don't want to. Yeah, never mind.
What?
con tu pistolas.
No. Well, you know what? Yeah, if the world gets crazy, back in the day when there was just like people, like no civilization, or I mean, you know, certain groups of people. Back in the day, the people that survived were the biggest, strongest, the people that could take what they want and what they needed are the ones that survived. And I was telling you, like, because you were saying like we need to pull cash out.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, well, if shit really goes sideways and it gets freaking crazy out there, cash does you zero good.
Right. Toilet paper.
And that's the
You
thing.
can
Like
barter.
we talk about investments and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like even because I've told you, like, I want to invest in something like gold, something that I can hold in my hand, not just zeros and ones on a computer screen.
Right.
But even gold, if you have a safe full of gold, that does you no good in a crisis, in a crazy situation when shit goes down.
So what is it?
Bullets. Bullets can get you toilet paper. They can get you food. They can get you all kinds of shit. If I'm not saying that I would do that, but
Dude,
you know what though?
People are gonna be like, okay, this dude right here, we can't trust his ass. No.
I'm just, you know, the thing is that this is the absolute truth. People will say, I would never do something like that until your kids are starving.
Yeah.
until your kids are and you know what? We're starting a fucking pandemic right now. I'm just saying this is, you know, separate. Yeah. Just don't worry, people. All right. It is a situation. It is a serious thing. Chances are we're going to get it. No, chances are we're going to get it, and we're going to be okay.
You're going to be okay. You know, just be there for the people around you in need. Yeah. Don't turn against each other. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's just people that have lived long enough.
Commercial
they
for Mexican
share.
food.
I know. They share like these. What do you want to call this? Things that happened in the past, like the whole gas shortage in 1973. You know,
yeah, it's just history.
History will continue to repeat
Historic
itself.
Events.
There you go. Historic events. History will continue to prove itself or to come back around. And I think that if we learn from our history, then when something like this happens, we'll be like, oh yeah, remember when the
2019 coronavirus happened.
Yeah,
but
the one before.
2020.
What about the H1?
The H1N1, the bird flu.
The SARS,
or the swine flu or whatever.
You know, like we've been through this already. We've been through this before. You know, we just need to slow down, think about it, and know that we're going to be okay. So
this is something that we were talking about before we started the podcast. Like when we were talking about the West Nile virus in New York in the 90s. Actually, Google it. When we were talking about the West Nile virus in the 90s, at that time, the internet wasn't a thing. There wasn't social media. We couldn't text people. Long distance cost money. So people weren't calling each other long distance all the time. And if, like Sonja was saying that she had never heard of the West Nile virus like that.
I heard of it, but
you've heard of it, but you didn't.
I don't remember us having curfews.
Like you didn't hear about it or heard of the experiences that I saw when I was growing up.
Oh, and yeah, it was founded in New York State in 1999.
So the thing is that at that time, people weren't communicating the way we were today. Imagine if there was a mass curfew, everybody's got to be inside, they got to start spraying in New York. Oh my
goodness.
And they started putting it out. And no, exactly, that's what I'm saying. You right now are saying, oh my goodness, if that came out here.
Yeah.
The thing is that you had no clue and you didn't know anything.
Right.
That's similar to what's happening right now. People are freaking the fuck out because everybody has access to social media, to the internet.
Right.
You're getting fucking alerts on your phone from YouTube and everything that everybody's saying, and everybody's freaking out. You know what I mean?
And they're talking about right here, anyone who lives in or travels to areas where the West Nile virus activity has been. Like, this is very similar. So you guys look it up.
Yep.
West Nile virus, New York City, 1999. Very similar.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And shit like this is going to happen.
Maybe I'll on the next podcast I'll see if any of my friends remember going through that.
Yeah.
Because it was crazy. I mean, I remember we were on a curfew. It was weird, man. It was weird. It was a
like ooh.
It was an eerie feeling because it was in the evening and it was dark. So when you look out your window, all you see is the street lights.
Yeah.
But then you see trucks driving down the street and they're just spraying, and it just looks like a fog in the street.
Wow.
With the street lights on. It's fucking creepy.
No, I'm just like imagining it, and that would freak me out. I'd probably go start taking cans off the,
stop stocking up on toilet paper.
Like, and you have a curfew?
Yeah.
Like, you have to be in the house.
If not, you're getting sprayed. You're getting sprayed.
That's scary. That's freaky. But anyways, on a lighter note, today I had defense driving school, because I got a speeding ticket, and it was the best class ever.
You got us a few listeners, so welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. And so this gentleman, Gordon, he owns, I don't know what it is, a self-defense class. He owns this business.
Defensive driving.
Defensive driving. There you go. And man, just the information that he provided about the laws, and he's like, Arizona has no clue. They have no clue what the laws are. He's all, in other states, before you get a driver's license, like, you have to, there's tests, like, there's multiple, like there's classes that you have to take so that you're informed on what the laws are. Yeah. And so when he started breaking down some of the laws, I was like, holy crap. Like I was going to get into it today, but guess what? I asked him if he would be a guest on the podcast next weekend, and he said cool. Yes. So I'm so excited to have him because this is going to empower you guys to know what the laws are. So when you're being pulled over, like you know what your rights are, and if a ticket is just or unjust, how do you say that? Unjust, yeah. You know. But I'm telling you, knowledge is power, and knowing what your laws are is going to empower you even more. So I'm very excited to have him on, and he talks about DUI and you know all the legalities with the DUI. And I'm telling you, if you guys are watching this and end up getting a DUI tomorrow, do not hire an attorney. Like, don't hire an attorney. The outcome is going to be the same with or without an attorney. With the way the Arizona laws are, save yourself $6,000 and stop allowing these attorneys to take your money. But if you want to get an attorney and you want at least a 25% discount, you can go to trustinkUSA.com. We have legal services that you can click on there and you can see all the details. Yes. And for any other legal services, you can go there and check that out too. Yes. Thank you for that plug. My mom was great. She really was, man. She knew like by heart. That's so funny. It was super cool. Yeah. No, we're looking forward to having him on. I mean, that's the point of the podcast, is to spread information. I mean, about everything, about all kinds of different stuff. Yeah, it is. It's a strange time right now. It is. But, you know, like I said, I think that we all have to come from a good place. Like, you're going to have to dig deep and look within to find joy. Because I'm telling you, when I was at the store, looking on everyone's face was fear. I mean, the look of fear and just being scared and not knowing what's going on. Like Betty and I, we were walking around the store, and I'm always happy most of the time. Would you agree with that? Like, yeah, you're always happy. And so we're walking around and we're just smiling and we're laughing and we're talking to people. And one of the workers is like, "Hey, it's good to see that, you know, that there's people that are still in good spirits, you know." And that felt good, you know, because we were like, we were having a good time. And it's crazy. But if we come together, help each other, support each other, be there for one another, and stop being selfish and selling shit. No. And I don't think, like, the people that listen to this podcast, like, I don't know if they would, I don't think that's something that they would do. Like, to take advantage of people when they're in a time of need. Like, if you need toilet paper, get toilet paper. I mean, it's just, it's so hard. Get what you need. So hard. Get 3 months, at least 3 months. That's what bothers me the most about everything that's happening, is that I don't like freaking out. I don't. But because of everything that's happening, it's making me act out of character because of everybody else. It's like, look, if I need something, I'm not going to have it. And normally, like, I wouldn't buy some of this stuff, but if I can't have the shit that I regularly buy, then I need to pick up other things. Like, and it's just forcing other people to act out of character and do things that they wouldn't normally do. So my 2 cents is to, if your neighbor is needing some toilet paper and you're stocked up, help them out. Yeah. You know, they're needing laundry soap, help them out. So hopefully this was an informative podcast. Hopefully it can help you guys relax a little bit. I know we gave a lot of information and we got into some crazy shit, but but that's who we are. But the truth is, try to relax. I mean, it's crazy because you'll see, like, you see somebody coughing in public now and people want to punch that person in the face. It's like sad. They cough or they sneeze and they're like, "Oh, get that person away from me." Yeah. You know, it's like, dude, I just needed to sneeze. Like, I mean, and another thing, I'm just clearing my throat. But walking into that house, here's crazy. Where I was upset, okay? Because he didn't tell me when I called to confirm the appointment. He could have had the courtesy to say, "Hey, before just you so got you there. Know, yes, yeah, you know, my wife is sick. You know, I don't know if you feel comfortable coming in," because then it would allow me to ask questions. And if I felt comfortable, then I had the choice to go to that appointment. And if not, I could have canceled it. So I was upset, wasn't I? Yeah. Like, I was upset, and I was upset at him. I was upset at him for not letting me know even before I walked into the house or when I called to give me that. Because now I don't know if I have it. And here I am walking around, not knowing and spreading it. Else. So, I feel good. So obviously they were okay. It's been past 4 days.
Yeah.
So
you should have had symptoms
it was
already.
very scary for me.
Or not, because you could be
is it called?
Asymptomatic, where you don't have no. There was people before we get out of here. There's a couple things. Look up videos of people that have had the coronavirus, because so far, except for the dead people, because they can't make videos. But sorry,
babe, that wasn't even funny.
Sorry, but there's people that have had the coronavirus and they've interviewed them afterward. Like there was the dude from the cruise ship, and he said that he got the fever for 8 hours, and he had a dry cough, and then it went away.
Yeah.
But he's still in quarantine. Yeah. He said he feels fine.
Yeah.
But he's got to get so many positive tests in a row before they release him. There was another guy. He seemed like he had it worse, but he survived. So there are videos of people that have survived. You can listen to what they say. The other thing is the mask. There's a lot of people that are looking for masks or buying masks, and the masks don't do anything to keep you from getting the coronavirus, because they're not sealed. Unless you have a mask like the one that I was wearing, like that one will actually protect you.
Babe, you probably shouldn't have let anybody know you had that mask.
Shit goes down. I'm wearing that mask to sleep. No, but if
and
you
what
have,
about me?
Because I have another one.
Oh, okay.
No, what I'm saying is, because unless the mask has a seal around your face, the air is still going to get in. So you can still get the air in through your mask. And what it can help with is if you have the coronavirus. If you put a mask on and then you cough, then that will keep the virus contained inside the mask. And, well, not 100%, but it does help from spreading it. Yeah. So it's not going to keep you from getting it, but if you have it, it'll keep you from spreading it.
And just so you all know, the individuals that watched the podcast last week, we had mentioned a little bit about court. I don't know if we don't really want to, everything went great, and let's just say justice was served, so we're good.
I think next week that'll be a good topic to bring up when we have our guest next week.
You think so?
Well, kind of, because court and the police.
He is going to be talking about the court system and stuff.
So anyway, thank you guys for being with us. Thank you for everybody that listens to our podcast around the world, around the country. I mean, we have people that are listening in Venezuela, in the UK, in Europe. And we have people all over the United States. I mean, sometimes we just wonder, like Oregon, Virginia.
Yeah.
There's so many states we can't name. I mean, there's some that we obviously know they're going to be heavy states for us because that's where we're from and that's where we know people. But there's just places that we just couldn't imagine and have no idea. So thank you guys for all of you that listen to the podcast, wherever you're at. We appreciate you guys listening.
Thank you for your support and all that you guys do.
Stay safe out there.
Yes. And until next time, bye.
Bye.